Just we're gonna do like a little challenge here, a little tiny mini vacation, and burn up miles, which I don't like to do on this car. I've been putting more miles on this car than anything else I've driven in the last 25 years. So this is the 21 Nissan Leaf S Plus, the longest range. As you can see, we got fog, and the windows are fogging up every once in a while on the inside. I'm gonna hit the fan on. So what this car needs is to set the percentage of charge where it cuts off. It's got a thing. If you go to the EV settings, you put in your state of charge, and then when you go back, excuse me, emphysema this morning. If you go back to the main gauge and then you scroll up or down, you get to the how long it's going to take to charge the battery, state of charge, and it said 8 hours. I did 6.5, and it went to 98%. It clicked to 99 a couple times this morning. Charged it the previous 2 days ago. Charged it Sunday afternoon. So when we left, it said 98% with 260 miles. That seemed to drop off a little bit when it realized we weren't going to be hanging around town. I can open a water bottle here. That was Zebra. Oh. It's not Zebra Nicks, is it? I think it's just a part of the Zebra Neck wildlife area. It's a little shallow lake up here to the right. Excuse me. So today's challenge is Interstate 77 through West Virginia. That's the little lane departure warning. It sounds like we're going to run over those little graded things on the white line, which this road doesn't have. Bicyclists gotta hate that stuff. That could really ruin your day. That's Zebra Neck on the right. Here we go again. And we're gonna clear the window. Of course, when you do that, it knocks the mileage down. Huh. I'll open the window and back up on the right. Oh, that's clearing it up. I think I know part of the problem for that thing, too. I decided to wash the car last night. When I got back in, it was probably a little damp. So that's probably the moisture trying to dry and stuff. And then my clothes dryer didn't dry 100%. That's pretty rare. It's just a foggy, damp morning, but it's actually beautiful. So we're headed west on Ohio Route 172 out of New Garden, Ohio, headed toward Canton, East Canton, and US 30. Lincoln Highway, and then from there we'll catch I-77 Interstate 77 South. We're going to do just a little charge in Cambridge, Ohio. You know, that nervous kind of thing you do, because you want a little extra miles when you go to the scheduled charge. So there's no fast chargers between Cambridge, Ohio and Wytheville, Virginia. West Virginia is like, oh man. Oh, it's on the outside. Half outside, half inside. West Virginia, there's just no fast charging. And you got a long gap, even in some of the, a 300-mile range car. You're going to have trouble doing your 20 to 80% stuff to make that. So we're going to just go downriver a bit. catch a charge, head over to West Virginia, eat lunch, and then head to Charleston, and then on down for the night to Pipestaff Lodge, which is where we stopped 5 years ago on the way back from Myrtle Beach. In case I haven't said, or you don't know, I've got a pretty severe neck injury, so I'm only good for, at the most, 400 miles a day, and then maybe 300 the next day or so, and then I've got to rest or something so the seizures don't start again. So, very comfortable car. And like I said, I left it 260 miles range, 98%, and it cut down kind of quick in the first 5 miles because I realized we're not going to do any stopping and starting in town and stuff like that. Well, I missed the exit. I've done that years ago. There's a lot of areas around Canton and Akron where things aren't really thought out too well, and you come over and you're in the right lane, and you end up you're in the number 2 lane out of 5, and then it says, I moved over to the right with another one, and it was the 2 right lanes I needed to be in, and of those 2 I needed to be in the left lane, and it's all construction back there. I go down one exit, and luckily it's just a short distance, and you get off that exit, there's like traffic, and there's no light. It's like, who thought this out? So, like a U-turn, come back on, and I didn't turn it back on because we were facing the sun and the fog. But not well thought out, and I've missed that years ago or whatever. And just a horrible design. So we're headed south on I-77, south of Canton. Pretty bad roads back on the Lincoln Highway there when it went to 4-laner west of East Canton. I used to stop at the Wendy's over here when I used to visit my son in college. So the thing was, I was so sick for so many years, and my wife would send me down to do something. And I had to stop there. There's another rest stop that they did with money. Back in the late 2000s, they redid 2 rest stops down here with federal funds, and then they used those same federal funds to close the brand new rest stops. And then there's 2 more rest stops that used to be on I-70 going to Columbus. And I was just so sick, I had to stop every chance I got. And then it took me 2 days to recover when I was at my son's place. So. Then things got worse, so that none of that was even possible. When people got so bad, I was laying down to back the car for a few years and still just wishing I was dead. So all from a railroad neck injury. So this is I-77 South, and once the battery dropped quite a bit, like I said, we left around 98%, and next thing I knew I was 87%. Right now we're 83% already after 41 miles, and the range is showing 211 miles. So I did buy this used 5900. I think the guy still damaged the battery. If you do level 1 charging, you're still going to heat up the battery and it's not going to cool down. You come home and plug it in every freaking time. That's why level 2 charging's the norm. It charges, it cools down. It doesn't charge too fast, doesn't charge too slow, and you get a nice cool down period. The other thing you got to remember with the Leaf and probably some other cars is before you hit the road, turn off your charge timer. I got nailed twice doing that on free charging. One was in the town I live in when I took the wife out for dinner. The other one was in the next town over when I went to a coffee shop. So didn't need either one of them. But, you know, it was wasted time. The whole point was, hey, we're going to eat here. I'll plug in the car at this Ford dealer or this city's free charging and then go about my business. So, there should be an option if Nissan puts in that you do a charge timer and it's either every day, weekly, or a one-time thing, and you don't have to cancel it back out. So the other thing I canceled this morning before I left was the noonday cool down. And I only go to the local museum once or twice a week, and I set that for around either noon or 10 minutes after noon, so the car's comfortable when I get in. But that means it runs every day for about 20 minutes for the air conditioning. We're not into the heat season yet, so I turned that off today. And so that's been on pretty much all summer. And I kind of like the idea where the car cools itself off every day for a little bit. So now I'm stuck. I had the detached garage set up for level 1 off of a 10 gauge old 220 system that came with the house, 10 gauge wire. And I replaced all the plugs and everything, and I ran a 12 gauge wire to the other 220 plug on the other side or whatever. And the wife picked up a 3-year-old Equinox 2 weeks ago, so she's got that spot in the detached garage. So she's been dinging up her car in the attached garage because it's real tight. So I'm stuck in the attached garage for the summer, or in the winter. The summer I kind of don't like it because that garage heats up from the red roof in the afternoon and evening. The garage absorbs a lot of heat, so the whole house is a big red roof. So I'm going to have to ventilate it pretty good next year. So 96 miles, it looks like, to the Ohio River. And the other thing is, I've got the Garmin here because Waze right now, it's offline. It's got a little dot on a blank map. I could go to Google Map and it'll probably do a little better. But Garmin, it never heard of the road or the address in Cambridge for Walmart. Now that's pretty sad. It didn't recognize anything, so I added another address to, Buffalo Wild Wings, which is next door to Walmart, and nothing. So there's a hit for Garmin. I thought it would do everything. So it's in the window. Hopefully Waze kicks back on before we get to Cambridge to find Electrify America at Walmart. So, we're going to charge up there just enough to get to our next charger. And we'll keep an eye on the thermometer for the batteries, which is in the main screen when you scroll up or down. And I don't want it to overheat or anything yet. There's Tuscarawas County, which we were in not too long ago, catching a charge. at a friendly Nissan dealer. And the other thing is, when you go through the plug share, West Virginia, there's a lot of nasty car dealers and stuff, even Nissan. If you bring your Nissan there, either want to charge money or don't want you there at all. So Nissan and the other car dealers need to put a stranglehold to get rid of these people and put them out of business and turn their dealerships over to decent people. So the whole thing is Wyoming, West Virginia are the two states I know of that are pretty piss poor for DC fast charging. And West Virginia is piss poor for level 2 charging, because I got no problem going to a park, somewhere interesting, restaurant, and charging up slow. I'm in no hurry. I kind of like to travel that way. I did run around like a chicken with its head cut off most of my life, commuting through LA, Seattle, even Akron here. And I don't like the rush to go to a vacation and then rested when you get there from all the driving. So because of my neck, I learned, hey, I got to stop anyway, and it's real enjoyable to take a break on the way somewhere. I really like it. It's the best way to travel. So love the Nissan. Love the size of this little car. The cat tracks, the front cluster and the pedals are right near my head between the seats. So this is the wife's little cat track. I don't know if it's a pocket. I think it's a trail, and it fits in. I had to take the bike rack and the bike bag and stuff off, and I can handle the little rides I do without a water bottle or any sustaining stuff with me. So that's with me. I brought my tennis racket, tennis balls, and an old pressurized thing my mom got me for a birthday or Christmas back in the 70s. And they still sell the little things. And clothes. I bought a new little lunch thing at Walmart. I've got 10 sandwiches, Aldi's bread, Aldi's cheese, and I bought some kind of rotisserie chicken rolled up thing that didn't unroll real good to put on the sandwiches. So as I was looking at that, I pictured hearing on the radio that stuff would be recalled on the way down here. But if we go to the Wendy's in West Virginia, they've got a Tesla charger, and it'll be 40 miles from the one on the border I'm going to hit. And that'll just be to top off, take a break. The range, it'll be what we'll call it, a range anxiety stop. But you know what? I'm scared, get anxiety no matter what I drive, because I was pretty much a shut-in for over a decade, kicking my guts out with a neck injury. So everything's good to go this morning. I feel good. I had a $50 car. I've traveled all these places before. So kind of reliving those days, and people got to realize that gas stations were mostly private owned back 40 years ago, and a lot of them went home for dinner and closed down for the day. I think we're gonna. So you turn on the blinker and it's just warning me or whatever that there's a car there. Oh, this truck's got the little death spikes on his front wheels or something. Hopefully women know that anything like that's like a compensating thing. Like, what in the world would you do something stupid like that for? Unless you're really hard on lug nuts or bolts and you really want all that extra service that you screw them up. Chevy Cruze looks good. So we're running without the cruise control, because I've noticed that eats up more energy for some reason. I'm going to have to test that, or one of you healthier people that do tests can test that. Do a loop using your foot. Do a loop using the cruise control. All right, I'm going to cut off and I'll turn you guys back on for something interesting, either scenery or charging. Oop, I'm going over 70. See you in a bit. So, we already talked about the Garmin fail that it won't even find a Walmart in Cambridge, Ohio. So the Waze thing, I set that in before I left. I said, hey, I know where that's at. Well, Waze seems to be useless too. That's why the Garmin's in the window, because how many times have I taken trips and the Waze just blanks out? And once it blanks out and comes back on and says, hey, I got a phone signal now. What were we talking about? Well, we were talking about a destination, and I'm driving. I can't enter in by hand, and it won't let me do it by voice. So I scrolled down to Google Maps, and it said only by voice because you're driving. So I hit the little mic. It took it in, and it says it's 29 minutes, 29 miles away. I think the speed limit here is 70. I'm trying to keep it around 65. I'm kind of older. 60 would be perfect for me with the speed limit of 55. You guys might laugh at that, but travel the whole country. If you're in a hurry, you can take an airplane. And flying's so much cheaper now than it was when I was young. But you don't get the free peanuts because of allergies for other people. So it says on here 26 miles. The exits, can't see. 44B it looks like. And when you get older and you got reading glasses, you won't be texting and driving unless you got bifocals. So 174 miles of range, 72 miles traveled, down to 69% battery. I had 70 miles from the Ohio River with the sign right there. So 2 GPS fails, Waze, which we expected. That's why we put the Garmin. Never expected Garmin to be like Walmart, Cambridge. Let's see, an old Blazer. So we're going to go down there and put just enough, and it's also going to be the first time we used Electrify America. Oh, beautiful Honda. I like that. And I've been paying $4 a month just to know that there's a Chatamo asshole out here still. If you got a Nissan Leaf, you're going to have to fight for those plugs. Let them know you're out there. So I got on the Nebby thing for Ohio and said, hey. And they said, hey, well, they're phasing that stuff out. I said, hey, there's still a bunch of us out here. Not only that, Tesla, it's the main thing Tesla people use with adapters. So if you're going to do government funds, why would you use my, tax dollars to count me out? You can always phase it out in the future. All right, we've got fog off and on today. All the side roads getting to the interstate, the wipers are on and everything. I'm still speeding again. The Nissan's quiet, it's smooth, it's very nice to drive. As far as the comfort of the seats, I am the last person to tell you. No matter where I sit, I hurt like hell in my ass, my legs, my back, and my neck from just work injuries and stuff, arthritis. It's better than the Chevy Express vans. Not as good as the 2003 Cadillac DeVille we had, but like I said, I'm in pain no matter what I'm going to drive. So you want somebody that's, well, I guess you do need the word of me if you're somebody like me. So they do say the Chevy Bolt and Bolt EUVs, the seats are too narrow. And why they came out with a second version of the Bolt, without canceling the first one is kind of a strange thing. It's like a hair wider, a hair taller, and like 6 inches longer. That 6 inches just shows up in the back seat. The cargo space is actually smaller. So we were looking at this because of the CCS charging and the liquid battery cooling per trip. So pretty interesting. I'm doing better than I thought I would so far, but I got a long way to go. So gonna be a long trip for this old guy today. So I'll cut you off and probably cut you on if I see something interesting, or as we're pulling into the charger or charging. Be safe out there. If you're at a charger, please enter it into PlugShare. Make sure your charging timer's off. Let people know the condition the best you can of where you're charging, and whether it's free or paid. That way everybody else knows. Coil up your cables. Don't be a pig. We don't need that in the electric car field. So take care. Talk to you in a bit.